we know. We've heard about your one-on-one. We've heard about you met the family. But, like, honestly, I feel like it's almost malicious.
Bachelor episode 3 sent many ladies packing in many unexpected ways, and we are going to break it all down. So welcome back to Shared News. Before we get into this week's Bachelor recap, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new here. I am your host, Zachary Reality, with Kayla G, longtime Bachelor fan, new co-host here at Shared News, but you seem to be getting your groove down, always getting us the tea on The Bachelor. What did you think of episode 3?
It was eventful. Like, every single person who left, I'm shocked, like, were people who I thought might make it to the end. So it was very shocking to me.
The whole episode was just shocking, and we will get into it. But I think it's just like the 3 women who left were just all unexpected. And I'm honestly so mad about it because those were 3 of the women that like I was actually interested in and I actually knew their names. So we have to break it down one at a time. So we'll start with Kaity's one-on-one date in the Jurassic Park type museum. It ended up being an overnight date. What was your thoughts? Kind of take us through what you saw on the date.
I thought their date was so sweet. I really think he likes her. And you know who she reminds me of is Rachel. So, I mean, I definitely think that there's like, he has a type I'm kind of seeing. But it was really cute. I was really surprised that this overnight thing, it's interesting how they're putting it so early on. It's just basically to start up drama with the ladies more than anything else. What did you think?
Yeah, well, my first thought is that like, oh my God, like they're getting alone time off camera. Like, what are they gonna do?
Right?
And then I saw that there was the tent cam. So I'm like, oh, okay. They were probably scared to like touch each other, knowing that they were on camera all night. So that was kind of disappointing because I was kind of hoping they would get it on, like give us some spice to this season.
Well, one thing we did, if you heard, they moved the beds together. So I don't know, maybe a little bit canoodling under the covers.
Yeah,
but
maybe like
at least
a quick, maybe just like a quickie. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe
Yeah,
we'll find
who
out after
knows?
the season. But overall, I thought the date went pretty well. She ended up getting the rose. She cried a lot. What was she even crying about? Was she crying about like not feeling like loved? Like she was in that relationship for 7 years. So I think she just like came through like it was like heartbreaking for her. So I think that was like her vulnerable story, right?
Yeah, she said she was kind of in a toxic relationship for 7 years, and she seems like really kind of beaten down about it, and like her self-worth has really taken a hit. And she needs someone like Zach. Zach seems like such a sweet guy, and I think one of her quotes was like, she said she just wants the basics from guys. She doesn't need any frills, and Zach's like, you deserve more than just the basics. So it really seems like she's had it rough in her dating, and we're kind of seeing her be with a good guy and her not really knowing what to do with that.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you said that because I was like having an issue. It was hard for me to like connect with her right away just because like I don't really feel like she had much of a presence, you know, and we're still getting to know everybody. So I was just like, wait, what's going on? Why is she crying? But this makes a lot more sense because I was like tuning out and now I feel bad.
Definitely. Yeah, I just definitely think her demeanor was she was almost like a little bit more hunched over. Like she's been through some stuff. So I'm hoping that through this process, she kind of gains a little bit more of that self-worth and she can, I mean, who knows? I could see her going real far.
Oh, she's definitely gonna go far. She got the rose. And I felt like by the end of the date, I was like, wow, they actually do have a pretty strong connection. Because in the beginning, I was like iffy.
Same.
But now I feel like she's pretty settled and like, you know, she has a huge advantage. She got a lot of alone time with Zach. So we'll see what happens. The group date was a football date. And of course, one of the girls ended up getting tackled. And there was an ambulance, just like classic Bachelor. I actually tweeted, I was like, this show is more dangerous than Special Forces.
Right? I know, I think it was Anastasia, but then everyone was saying that she was just like making it up to give her time with Zach, which, I mean, it's a good strategy. Good on her.
Yeah, and the date ended up continuing on to the night portion where Bailey was getting super frustrated because she wasn't getting enough time with Zach. She was interrupted and she was like really crying. And it was kind of weird with the storylines too, because I thought that Zach was going to end up giving her a rose and like keeping her around and being like, wow, like she really cares. And like plot twist, I did not expect her to go home. Did you?
Not at all. Like, she was the first kiss of the season. They met each other on the live show. And nothing has even just, it kind of came out of nowhere. She said that their relationship regressed. And I think she was looking to him to be some type of validation. And when he really didn't give that, and he was just kind of saying, yeah, I agree, and I didn't see it coming at all.
Yeah, but also like, she put herself out there and was like, she really wanted to know, like, is he into her? Is he not into her? And I feel like, that's why she went home, because she made such an effort. Like, there's probably a few girls in the house that are just floating by. They're just trying to stay as long as
Sure.
possible. They're not really forming a connection, but they're not doubting it because they don't want to like make any waves. So you got to kind of respect her for at least speaking her mind, even though she was very emotional and overly dramatic about it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we're seeing a pattern. Like I said this last week with Zach, he is so honest, and I respect it. Like I believe every word he says, and he doesn't mess around.
Yeah, I mean, he really has no time for like any BS. He's like, yeah, probably gonna go home now. Yeah, and he's just like has such a
Yep,
straight
pretty
face,
much.
and I'm just
I
like, oh my
know.
god, like I'm still not invested in him. Like I just don't feel like I can read him yet. So maybe we'll get
Mhm.
more layers as the season goes on, but he is definitely a straight shooter, like you pointed out. Now let's get into Christina Mandrell because she caused some waves on the group date as she kept referencing her one-on-one. At first, I thought it was like kind of cute, and she was maybe just a little insecure because this was her first group date. So she's just like used to having the time with Zach. But then I started to kind of pick up on what the other girls were saying, especially Brooke. And I kind of was like, Christina. And then she crossed the line with the whole, charity thing.
Same. As soon as she made Charity cry, she was done for me. I was actually like a really big supporter of her for the first 2 weeks and
Mhm.
stood up for her. And so, how she made that switch, she really handled herself so well before this episode. And I just think the one on one just kind of got to her head, and she thought that they were already going to get married and have babies, and wondering what all these ladies were still doing here. But it really got the best of her, and I definitely started really liking Brooklyn because she just called her out, and much needed. Someone needed to do it.
Yeah, I liked how Brooklyn was a straight shooter. At first, I thought like she was being a little impatient, but then I feel like Christina kind of showed maybe some of her true colors after the rose thing. I mean, that just pissed me off because I'm like, that's just not nice. Like, you just ruined her happy moment. I'm still a Christina stan. I still like her, but that moment I was like, I'm done with her for like right now. But then I got over it
Yeah,
because,
sure.
we'll talk about the pool party. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I still like Christina too. I just think she got wrapped up in it, and I don't think she's a bad person by any means. She
Mhm.
just had a few bad moments, and there was cameras there, so you can't hide from it.
Yeah, that's fair. Because what happened to her, like at the pool party, let's just get into it. We'll go out of order for a second. Is that Zach ended up,
Sure.
kind of questioning her, and a lot of the girls had issues with her. And I feel like if, he kind of like freaked her out because she was crying so much. But I also feel like maybe if she had like a day to kind of like talk to the other girls and apologize, like this could have been resolved and she didn't necessarily have to be like sent home.
I am shocked that Christina went home. The fact that they seemed so close, I don't know, maybe this was like an out for Zach because he doesn't want to be a dad yet. That's something I thought of.
Mhm.
But also, I just think he's like a no nonsense, like drama is his deal breaker. And we might see that throughout the season. As soon as someone kind of, I'm trying to think, like a Shanae, he won't be putting up with people like that.
But don't you think that Rachel was so much drama? Like, not like Rachel was like having problems with girls, but like Rachel was so emotional and so dramatic about like all of her feelings. And, she's just so sensitive. So do you think there is just like a difference between Rachel and like some of this drama that we're seeing in the house?
Yeah, I think Rachel being sensitive, I think she just feels so hard. As a Pisces myself, I get it. I cry over
Yeah.
just like a broken nail. But I think really it was the disrespect towards Charity, someone he started a relationship with, and I think who's going to go far. And I think he was just protective of his other relationships.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll get a little bit more into it when we get to the pool party. But Charity ended up getting the group date rose, and I feel like everyone really likes her. The audience, I feel like likes her too. Like she's just getting that likable edit. So we'll probably see her for a
100%.
while. But Allie also got a one-on-one date and they had a pretty good time. So what kind of were your thoughts on, Charity and Allie, like two pretty, apparent front runners now?
Yes, I absolutely love Charity. Allie, I'm still needing to warm up to. I definitely thought it was hilarious her reactions every time they knocked on the door. She like physically like jumped, like she that made me kind of
Mhm.
laugh. But other than that, I didn't like. I'm not connected to her yet, and I also find it very disturbing that her and Zach weren't more scared to jump out of the airplane. It seemed it was just like something they do like every Friday. It was disturbing to me. I was like, I would be crying, throwing up, freaking out, and they were just like, it's cool. Like, what did you think?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't sure if it was just kind of like the editing of the date because that date was just like really short compared to the
Mm,
first one-on-one date with Katie. And I felt like, even with that extra pool party scene, like it just felt like this date was so quick. We didn't really even get to know Allie, but I would never jump out of a plane. I would like to one day,
no,
like maybe I would have to like do drugs because I would be so scared. But like it's just not for
true.
me. So they must be like
Me
adventurous
neither.
people. And good for
Yeah,
them.
I
It's
don't
the
care. It
thrill.
just, I don't, yeah, I don't care who the bachelor would be. I would say no. I would never do
Oh
that.
my God, for sure. There was one episode of, I forgot the season, Juan Pablo season, and her name
Okay.
was, she was blonde, her name was Chelsea. And they were supposed to go
Okay.
bungee jumping. And usually what we see on The Bachelor is like when someone is freaking out or like having a panic attack about like heights, they always end up overcoming it. But this girl, Chelsea,
Hmm.
she ended up having a panic attack and then she just said, I'm not doing it, and like she didn't end up doing it. And I'm like, what? And I remember
Well,
that
good
so
for
vividly
her.
because, oh, good for her for sure. But I remember that because like no one ever says no on these types of shows. It almost like they always
Hmm.
overcome the obstacle.
I say she's smart and justice for Chelsea. Did you say Chelsea? I don't remember who it
Yeah,
was, but
Chelsea. I thought you would
justice for
remember.
Chelsea. I don't really after like unless they like really stay in the Bachelor Nation circles. I tend to forget the some of the
Mm,
people who aren't as active. And
gotcha. Okay, because I know you've been watching for as long as me, so there's
I
definitely
have.
things you know. There's definitely some
Hmm.
references I know that you get, but maybe not this one.
Yes,
But
for
it's okay.
sure. I'm sorry, I let you
um,
down, Zachary.
You're good. No, you're so good. So let's get to the pool party because Brianna, she ended up pulling Zach aside. I thought it was so strange because I was like looking for her all episode. I'm like, where's Brianna? Like, she got so much screen time. Like, are her and Christina gonna
Mhm.
talk again? And it was kind of shocking to see her, just not be on the show until she ends up breaking up with Zach. Or do you think he broke up with her?
I think she broke up with him. I said it last week and I'll say it again. I don't think either of them liked each other. Like as soon as like Brianna went up to talk to him again and like, "Oh, I've been having a hard day." I was like, "This is your like third or fourth conversation with him where it's not fun," as Zach says. And so it's just too serious. They weren't connecting. They were forcing it. And I think she just wanted to kind of drop a bomb before she left, make her mark on the show.
I think Brianna's just too real. Like, I feel like we all gave her a hard time
Mhm.
last week because she was being so extra.
Did.
But like this week, I was like, Brianna is just a real one. Brianna is just like not here for the BS because she is, great TV. She has a great personality. I think we'll see her on Paradise. Like, I'm upset because I wanted to see more of her, but I really respect the
Mhm.
way she went out because she's like, what is this? Is it here? Is it not there? Like, she just is like, I'm not doing another week of this. And she left.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And something kind of interesting to think about is all three of the girls were from the live show that left on
Hmm.
this episode. And so it's just like interesting to see if that impacted anything from like Zach thinking about them for like a couple months before, or I don't know exactly how long, maybe a few weeks. But it is kind of interesting to see
Ooh.
how it all went down.
I bet you that's a great point. And I think you hit the nail on the coffin because I don't really see another reason. Either they were thinking about Zach too long because they met him before, or what you just said. It was like probably both because they had time to sit on
Yeah.
it before filming. So that you probably kind of know by now with other new girls, he's like still getting to know them. But like, and who knows if they DM'd in that time, right? Like, how long? Do you remember how long it was from when after the final rose was
Now that I
shot
think
and
about it,
Zach's
I
season
don't think it
started
could be.
filming?
I don't think it's more than a month. I think it's a short period of time, but try to think of like when you're like dating someone or like when online dating, you're like texting them for so long and you create something in your head and then you meet them and it
Hmm.
either like sometimes it
Crashes
doesn't
and
match what you put
burns.
in your head. Yeah, I feel
Oh,
like it's
all
kind
the
of the same
time.
thing. Yeah, yeah.
All the time. All the time. I've met like, crushes before and like, it just doesn't always go as planned.
Yeah.
Sometimes you really just kind of build it all up in your head. Okay, well, before Brianna left, she ended up calling out Christina and letting Zach know that she was having issues with some of the girls in the house. So, what did you think about this power move by Brianna? And then we'll get into Christina's spiral.
I loved it. I was like you said, I definitely respect her for leaving on her own terms. Like she was there for the wrong reasons. She would have stayed as long as Zach would let her, you know? So, and I love that she dropped the bomb and she just walked out and then left everyone else for the pieces. And then, Zach
Mhm.
went and talked to all the ladies and she started something.
Yeah, and I think it's good that she did that because I don't know if anybody else would have, or it would have been awkward. It was like with Brianna, it's not like she had to face Christina later or like go
Yeah.
to sleep, in the same bunk as her. So I'm glad that she did that.
Mhm.
It was definitely a power move. Brianna will be remembered in Bachelor Nation for a long time,
Oh,
even though she was an
100%.
early eliminee. So Zach ends up pulling Christina. She ends up crying. And I kind of felt bad for her. That's where I was like, what we were talking about earlier. Like, she got ahead of herself. She's not a bad person. Give her like a day or two and let this humble her. And then I think she'll be fine.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think Zach, kind of like how I said, like, is just a no drama kind of dude. And yes, she's emotional, but in a different way from Rachel.
Well, she ended up going home. He talked to Brooklyn. That conversation went, pretty well. I wonder what Zach and Brooklyn's connection will be like in the future because they can't like, they're gonna have to evolve from like the whole Christina thing just because we haven't really seen other conversations with them. So I don't know what their other conversations have been. But he ends up sending Christina home at the rose ceremony, and I was just sad. I just felt like it was a premature thing. I noticed on Twitter a lot of people were saying that this was his opportunity to send her home and like have a reason because he didn't want to be a stepdad. He wasn't ready to take on that role, but he couldn't like say that last week because then he would look like a bad guy. So was that your take as well?
It definitely crossed my mind. It definitely crossed my mind because of his just visible reaction last week when he told her or she told him about
Mhm.
her daughter. But I still think also I think it's a mix and they aren't each other's person and it's taking him one step closer to, who he is here for.
Yeah, for sure. And, she's gone. And we'll have to see what happens next week because this teaser looked very interesting. Now that some of the bigger personalities are out of the house, there might be a new girl who might cause some trouble, might be here for followers. What were your thoughts on seeing this preview?
Yeah, I mean, when one villain goes, there has to be another, right? And so I think they're insinuating in the teaser that it's Kylie who is there for followers, not there for the right reasons. But those teasers, you never know. So I actually don't think it's going to be Kylie. It might be even someone who surprises us.
Ooh, well, I can't even think of anyone because the only girls that I knew were the girls that just got sent home this
Right?
week. Other than like,
I
those
just
were the
know
main girls I
it's
knew.
not Gabby.
Yeah, it's not Gabby, who always gets like the weirdest edits. Like, you know what I mean? Like they
I
just
love her.
randomly like feel the need to put her voice in there. No, I think she's cool. I just don't like the edit they're giving her.
Okay, all right. I kind of like it. It's kind of like the quirky girl. I don't know. I see myself in that. I would be the weird one.
Well, yeah, I like that side of her. I just think it's always random when they like throw her in like narrations like out of nowhere and then like focus on her for like 7 minutes. And I wonder if it's just like an editing thing to make sure that the viewers like remember her, right? Like,
She's getting
by
a lot of
putting a
screen
lot of
time,
her at once.
Zachary.
But she gets it at once. Like she gets it within like 10 minutes, a 10-minute time period, and then she like disappears for like 40 minutes because you know how long this show is.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting how they're doing it. We will have to wait and see because they're going to the Bahamas, so we're getting some
Ooh, yes,
sun.
for sure. You know what? Shout out to the Bachelor editors for doing something different because I mean, I tweeted that I thought Christina was going to get the last row because we've seen this show before, and she didn't. So the producers are doing something different with the editing to mix things up, and it's making it fresh.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, why not? Even though I'm sad that the girls I was invested most in just went home. So now I'm just like,
Maybe
those
we'll
were the
get
girls
some new
keeping me
favorites.
interested. I know, but like I was like, it took me an episode or two to like these girls.
I get it. I get it. Yeah, I am really excited to see what happens, and I think the season will keep surprising us. And Zach keeps surprising me.
It's definitely going to surprise us for sure. So let us know what your thoughts are in the comments. Be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you're always updated. We'll be talking more about the episode this week on our channel. I am your host, Zachary Reality, joined with Kayla G. You guys can follow our socials. They're on the screen right now. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.